Our coach, James Young, joins us live right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid, past the midway point of this NBA regular season, with the hot button topic of the 65-game minimum that you need to play out of your team's 82 regular season games to be in consideration for NBA awards and NBA All-Pro teams. JY, let's start there. We just spent the end of the second hour hearing from the public. Donnie gave his take. I gave mine on the 65-game minimum in the association. Do you believe the NBA needs to get rid of that 65-game minimum as it pertains to NBA awards? And then second part of that question, all pro teams around the NBA as well.
Well, good morning, guys. Good to be on with you. And I think when you look at this whole situation, it comes down to one thing: money. And the NBA, going into negotiations for all their TV revenue, we're getting into trouble with star players not being available, especially in these big primetime matchups like obviously over the weekend, Embiid versus Joker. So for that standpoint, I think the NBA has to keep the rule, but I think Donnie made a really good point last segment. The regular season is too short. I looked it up. It's 173 days, the regular season, beginning to end. So technically, you should be able to play every other night and satisfy. Now, the problem is these owners want to fill up the other, 320 days in their arenas. There's the NHL, there's college basketball, there's concerts. So I think the solution is this, and I made this point a while ago. They tried this with the in-season tournament. I think it should start the season on Christmas Day. I know I may be crazy with this. Extend the season over to middle of July. Then you have your playoffs. You get done with the playoffs by the time the NFL starts. I looked it up. I think it's 203 days. Now you've bought yourself more time. There's less concerts in the summer because more venues go outside. So that's what I would do if I'm Commissioner Silver. The problem is you got to get the league partners to do it. But if they're not going to do it, they have to keep this. And because of the 65 rule, they need this for TV money. If TV money goes down, owners make less money. Owners make less money. Players make less money. It's all tied into dollars and cents.
Yep, and I agree with you, JY. Like, for the good of the sport, maybe less games are extending the season, but they just look at that bottom line. If they can maximize their profits, they'll put the players at a disadvantage. And quite frankly, the players, as long as they're getting money, they'll be like, okay, I'm fine with the disadvantage at this point here. We'll see how that plays out. But the MVP market certainly playing out. Coach, we haven't seen this yet because of the 65-game minimum, but we're not just betting the best players in the sport. We're betting the best players in the sport that have a little bit of cushion on how many games they can miss. Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid were going head-to-head in the MVP markets. Joel Embiid doesn't even appear here at the FanDuel Sportsbook in the MVP market. Why? Because we don't know when he's going to be available again, which leads us to Nikola Jokic at a minus 125. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 3-1. Luka Doncic at a 5-1 price, and Giannis at 7-1. More options here, but also coming down the stretch, can Joel Embiid get back into this? Give us your vantage point here, this MVP market here in the NBA, Coach.
Well, obviously, the Joker goes to the favorite. I mean, I think if last week I was on, I think Embiid was like plus 120 at some point late, like last week. And then he went the other way. They took him off the board. Also mentioned, folks, Tyrese Halliburton has been taken off the board as well. So when you start looking at this, now you're at a point where you're like, all right, where can you put your money? The one thing the NBA has, guys, at times is voter fatigue. They don't like voting for the same guy over, and over. So that's why I'm starting to think, could SGA or Luka be the play? Especially SGA, if his team can finish with the best record in the Western Conference, a team that's gone from 20 wins to 42 wins to the number one seed, maybe it's time we look at SGA. But then start looking down the board. What can happen with other guys? I've said it. People think I'm crazy. Brunson has been slashed from 200-1 to 150-1. Someone explain to me this. If the Knicks keep playing well, especially without Randall, he could start moving up the boards. He's already almost slashed it in half in the last week. That's someone to watch. But to me, you're not going to get Embiid back. Remember, we talked about this last week. 5. There's 5 more back-to-backs that Philadelphia have to play. Plus the fact of he only can miss 5 more games after tonight. He's not going to make it, guys, because if I'm Nick Nurse, I'm valuing the championship over the MVP.
And Joel Embiid has already missed 11 games. We do not expect him to be out there for the 76ers on this Thursday either. Luka's getting close, by the way. Did not play last night due to an ankle sprain in Minneapolis. He has only played 40 of the 48 games for Dallas. JY, you say people think you're crazy when you say Jalen Brunson. Who are those people that are coming out of the woodwork to say you're crazy?
Well, listen, yesterday when I was on social media, I got myself in trouble because I said the Knicks are better off without Julius Randle. They are, honestly, offensively. But the thing, what has made the Knicks so special right now, they're 14 and 2 months. You have to look, obviously, at the trade of OG Anunoby, right? But the bigger thing is this, because OG's at the three-point line, right? DiVincenzo's been hot like fish grease, is on the three-point line. No Quickly, no Barrett. And now for a while, no Randle. Now Brunson's got driving lanes with shooters. And people say, he's small. Do you guys know that Jalen Brunson is top 5 in the NBA in and ones? Those all happen in the paint. So now as he drives the ball, and he's got more moves than Baskin Robbins got flavors in the post, now we can spray the ball around. So if the Knicks continue to play well, which, we'll see, the competition steps up a little bit, they could find themselves not only in a chance for Brunson to be MVP, but the 3 seed and possibly the 2 is not out of the question right now. They're connected. They're defending well. Tips has done a great job, but you got to look at Jalen Brunson has been the biggest catalyst for not just the Knicks this run, but the reemergence, I say, of a franchise that's been pretty bad for the last 2 decades.
Coach, we sit there for the New York Knicks, if you want to bet them to win the Eastern Conference, at the FanDuel Sportsbook at a 12-1 price. Trade deadline coming up. What do the Knicks need to add on to be a true contender in the East with maybe a run to an NBA championship?
Well, they got to take care of their second unit because they have the least points per game, I do believe, in the second unit. So Malcolm Brogdon is someone that everybody's already looking at. There's rumors that maybe Fournier in a draft pick can go. I think Brogdon will be good because Brogdon can play the 1 or the 2, right? Then you can lessen up the minutes of guys like DiVincenzo and Brunson, and now you won't have to depend so much on Deuce McBride. But I want people to start thinking about this one. Backup small forward, backup center. Precious Achiuwa has played well. I think he's more of a 4. Do they try and get a 5? And then the sneaky one is look for guys like a Gordon Hayward who could be bought out at the end of the trade deadline. Does New York wait for that waiver wire pickup, that post-trade deadline pickup, to go make a run? It's been fantastic. The key is the chemistry's been really, really good in New York.
So, JY, quickly here, let's talk some college basketball. National championship odds, Purdue the favorite 7-1, Houston and UConn right behind at 9-1. The Huskies a victory last night. Purdue escapes at home in overtime against Northwestern. It is now February. Where do you think the value is when it comes to winning a national title in men's college hoops?
I think you have to look squarely at UConn. They're the defending national champions. I know they didn't look great last night. They have been bludgeoning people. Clingan is healthy and the 4th leading scorer. Everywhere else, Ben, I don't know where there's value because if you go on the road, you're getting picked off. The only team that hasn't got picked off on the road is Connecticut, and that was when Clingan got hurt against Seton Hall. They're the best team in the country, 9-1. That's where your money should go.
JY also loves Purdue plus 700. Huge fan of the Boilermakers. JY, a fade away to the break. We appreciate the time here on this Thursday on the Early Line. We'll be back in just a few.